Hello and good evening. Welcome to the No Exit Experience, where everyone gets a chance to talk and no one is excluded with the exception of those who would trample on the speech of others. It is a show where all topics are welcome and no one is censored from giving their honest views on those topics. If you can handle that, then hop on the bus. You're in for a wild ride. My name is Jason. I'm the bus driver. My passengers today are Richard, got Robbie, and we got Tom on the tiller. Do we have anybody in the Zoom room? Negative. So far, we haven't picked up any passengers yet. But and passenger pigeons have been dead for 112 years. Martha was the last passenger pigeon in 1914. There would be flocks of 2 billion passenger pigeons, and then they killed them all off.
Who's they?
People in general, that didn't know anything about conservation 100 years ago. White hunters and whatnot. Okay, so Robbie, you get the privilege of the first topic.
Oh yeah, really?
Favorite local celebrities?
There's a lot of them though. I mean,
well, encapsulate it, would you?
I like my favorite one was Van Miller, and I'll tell you, I got to meet him back in '94 when I did an intro to art class for my freshman year, and one of the nicest guys I've ever met. I mean, what he was on there, he was off there, funny, witty. He made time, and he was busy with the Bills anyway at that time because it was a short week. I remember that, Thanksgiving week. And he made time for my dad and I, and we were able to watch the news from over there. So I got him. I loved Van Miller, and I miss him too because.
Did you ever notice, were you aware of his cognitive decline in his later years?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And
were you aware of that?
I didn't really notice it, but because I wasn't in the...
He would be announcing a game. Now, they gave him a co-host named John Murphy for a specific reason, because Van Miller would say, and Favre and Starr, Bart Starr steps back to pass, and John Murphy would say, I think you mean Brett Favre.
Well, I have a little bit of background with that because my math teacher in 8th grade, Mr. Stewart, Larry Stewart, went to school with Van Miller back in the early 60s. And when they played high school basketball, Van Miller had long hair. So he had to use barrettes to hold his hair back when he was shooting because otherwise his hair would get in his eyes. And so that was the funny story. And I knew that Van, when he was sharp, when he was the sharpest, that's why he hosted It's Academic. Because like Alex Trebek or Ken Jennings, you got to be smarter or as smart as the people that are there. And high school students are right on, the tip of their knowledge. They're learning this new and it's all fresh. Like, take the differential of this equation. Well, if you don't know what that is,
Did you ever watch It's Academic?
No, that was before my time, I think.
Yeah, because I was supposed to be the team captain, and it went off the air in '87.
Oh.
Well, I was too young, though, too.
Yeah, that's why. But it's the same as Quiz Bowl, But Quiz Bowl gets easier in college because they're not doing hardcore basic stuff, the calculus.
What is Quiz Bowl?
Quiz Bowl is the same idea in college. It's just like asking questions, whoever rings in first.
So it's a TV show that's on the air now?
It doesn't have to be on TV.
I think they rebooted that It's Academic on WBBZ, if I remember correctly.
That would make sense.
No, what I mean, a Quiz Bowl is just, it doesn't have to be on TV. It could be colleges against each other, not
it's a
net
generic
broadcast.
name for that type of show.
Yeah, but not even a show in person, that you don't have to, live, that they're not broadcast on the air.
Oh, these are like events.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and that's where, because just like a spelling bee, a geography bee, well, Quiz Bowl is the same idea, but there's teams instead of individuals. And so, and there's various incentives for this one or that, and so you get, and so that's what it is. It's just testing your knowledge across all things. Like,
do you think it's revealing in our society that there is no more It's Academic?
Like
if they tried to resurrect it, they might have trouble finding people.
What I think, honestly, my unvarnished opinion, they would have trouble getting teams from inside Buffalo. That only City Honors would be able to field a creditable team versus Clarence Central or Williamsville East or Frontier, or Orchard Park.
Doesn't that say a lot for the funding in the city of Buffalo for education?
I think that's part of it. Because even back 20 years ago, Performing Arts, Hutch Tech, and City Honors were the only schools that were worth anything. Now, the only one left is City Honors. The other schools have fallen down in quality. They don't have instructors, and the students aren't interested in the stuff they're offering. So if, like the Fame School, in New York City, you have to audition for that, and that's still going. You had to audition for performing arts, not anymore, and it's unfortunate because it's a lost opportunity, and funding is one reason, but it's multifactorial.
There's a school in France to this day called the École Normale, and if you apply to that school and you get in, number one, no tuition. Number two, they actually give you money so that you have spending money. And three, they give you an apartment, etc., with the condition that if you graduate from that school, you owe the people of France. You owe them. Like the press can come to you and say, what is your thoughts on this specific matter? You're expected to become almost like a celebrity, because in France, the intellect is highly praised.
Well, do you know what leaks is? The X, leaks?
No.
École Polytechnique. The Polytechnic School has a very simple name, but that's where VMI was based on that. Because
what is the Polytechnic School?
I'm trying to tell you.
But I mean, is it American?
No, it's leaks. It's L'École Polytechnique. It's just like L'École Normale Supérieure.
Okay.
Yeah,
well, you're saying things that you know that maybe we don't know and maybe the audience doesn't know.
I said École Polytechnique.
And how do they know that that's the same thing in France? You got to elaborate.
I'm trying, and you're not letting me.
Because you were jumping onto the next thing.
No.
So I had to stop you and slow you down.
You have L'École Normale Supérieure, and then you have L'École Polytechnique, but they call it the X, leaks. And it's a military school, but very few go into the military. What they do is they have the uniforms, they march and whatnot, but they're very, very intellectual on the technical side. Like École Normale Supérieure is like liberal arts or expansive.
Right. Yeah.
L'École Polytechnique, let me put it this way. Olivier Pelton, he was a guy that I met. Every year they would send 10 students over here to meet us because our school is based on theirs. And that was the first time in my junior year, my French was better than his English. I had a Parisian accent when I was in college. I don't anymore. And
no, you were in college when you met him.
Yeah, because they were in college there, and they would come and visit us in the U.S. in Virginia.
And now, okay, so your French was better, but what else do you want to say about him?
He's a professor of quantum physics now. Yeah, I looked him up, and this guy is like neck deep in muons and gluons. I mean, he's the real deal. That's what I mean. That's what Leaks does. If you get a French astronaut, chances are good he went to Leaks.
So one of the graduates from École Normale was Jean-Paul Sartre.
Sartre.
And he was very active in causes. So he showed up at this protest where everybody got arrested, but they let Sartre go. And the French people asked the president of France, why did you let Sartre go? And he said, one does not arrest Voltaire.
I love it. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, and, at the same time, I wasn't there, but if Sartre would have said, no, this is my people, arrest me too. Like Jane Fonda.
I wonder if he did that.
Because it's kind of an insult.
Although he was in his later years, too. But this would be in the 60s, so.
Yeah. Because why do I always forget Camus? I always forget Camus. Also, this is my one aside. People that are snobby academics say Goethe. No, it's Goethe. What I mean is
a distinction without a difference.
Well, it's overemphasizing that's not actually correct because they don't speak German, or even if they do, saying Goethe instead of, you might as well say Goethe.
Or Goethe, some people say.
Right.
So.
I mean, and for them to say, no, it's Goethe, that's wrong. On the same lines, there was an article that I saw, something about one of the guys in Quebec, because he didn't say anything in French. And this woman said, their French will never be perfect. And I said, neither will yours. They shouldn't call it French in Quebec without any sub-characters like Acadian or Quebecois. Because if somebody from Montreal goes to Paris, nobody will understand them. But from Brazzaville in the Congo, they go to Paris, they can understand them. Haitians can go to Paris, they can understand them. And to say that is the sine qua non, that's BS. They talk like the thee and thou comparatively of the 1600s in English, because they use something called the passé simple. We do the past in French, the passé composé, the complex past. It's just a way to build the sentences. But the way they do it, nobody would understand it. Maybe somebody in Belgium, maybe, not a guarantee.
You mean someone in Belgium would understand Montreal?
Maybe. I'm saying maybe. Probably not, but if anybody, because but anybody in metropolitan France would say, well, that was like when Clément Beaulieu said, you're speaking some language, but it's not French. And that's why to say that they won't, because if they call it Acadian or they call it Quebecois, that's okay. You know, like Boricois, which is New York City Spanish, and Puerto Ricans in New York City. Just like my Spanish is like a Mexican 5-year-old, because that's how I learned it from the patients. You know, all the interpreters were from the Caribbean or South America, and they're all white, but or from Puerto Rico. But all the patients were from Mexico, Nicaragua, Guatemala, El Salvador, and so I talk like them.
I wouldn't even understand any of them too, like Quebec's when they speak French or France. And French.
So you're monolinguistic.
I only understand English.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
And Ebonics too.
Well, African American vernacular English. I met a girl 25 years ago who she was the student rep to the Oakland School Board that posited that about Ebonics being a separate language, and that was strictly a call for money for secondary languages. You know, to teach a second language. Well, if they did that, they would get more money for the Ebonics, and it wasn't a whole movement to say this is how we speak. That it was just for money. They said if we can do it as a second language, we can get a lot more money. Because I was telling my spouse about back in 1999, I went to a comedy club in SF, and there was Patton Oswalt, Zach Galifianakis, and another comic who I can't remember his name, but he was this black dude. He said the funniest thing. I come from the black part of San Francisco, Oakland. So, okay, that's been beaten into submission. Okay, Rich, do you have anything more to say on local celebrities?
Not
Anything
really.
else to add to that? I don't.
Although,
well, I could say, man, we in Buffalo had like the greatest like announcers anyway. I mean, just like Rick Jeanneret, legend, Ted Darling, legend, Van Miller, legend, Rick Azar.
Yeah, well, and Rick Azar, Irv Weinstein, and Tom Joles. They were the longest contiguous team forever in history.
And Don Postles, he was the trio slut, I guess, at 2, 4, and 7.
Well, but also Cat Miller on WBBZ. Oh goodness, another chance I missed.
Do you think that? What did you think when you heard about Josh Allen showing up at Bill's Media Day dressed in head-to-toe Sabres gear?
I only saw him in the hat. I thought he had a Bills shirt on.
I liked it, because you got to say you have the same owner for both teams, and you're supporting your local hockey team too. I mean, I like that.
Well, even if you don't have the same owner, because like Taylor Myers said, he was born in Houston, but his family moved to Canada. He said, if I grew up in the U.S., I would have played a different sport. And all these guys, the ones that play hockey, they also play lacrosse, many of them, or that they get drafted into the MLB and into the NHL, things like that, that athletes be athletes,
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I don't think it's uncommon, that.
Well, the thing is, I think Josh Allen has his pulse on the fact that he wants to have a special relationship with the fans.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So he thinks up these things to reach out to the fans.
Well, he honestly he does. I mean, he's been like the most winning quarterback since Jim Kelly. So I mean, he's got a pulse with the city. I mean, plus growing up in a little town called Firebaugh, that kind of helped him along the way.
Well, yeah, he knows small town because I wasn't visiting Wyoming when he was there, but I know Wyoming. That 7,000 students or 7,000 people live in Laramie, 19,000 students at the University of Wyoming. So when they leave, it's a ghost town. And then when they come back, it's thriving.
We said 17,000 live.
No, 7,000 live there, 19,000 students at the university.
So you have a total of 25. Then then the students go on break or something.
Yeah, because there's a what's the name of it? Now I forgot. There's a bar in town that it started out as the Bucket of Blood in 1871. It was just 4 pillars and a piece of canvas, and now because when you go there, if you get a beer, you get a shot with it. It's the way it goes. It's the way it goes. Beer, shot and a beer. And there's a bullet hole in the mirror behind the screen, or behind the bar, because a new mirror was put up in 1970. 2 weeks later, a guy came in shooting because he was dating a waitress that broke up with him. So he comes in shooting and he puts a bullet hole in the mirror and it's still there. And the Buckhorn. There's like 19 bars in the U.S. called the Buckhorn.
Wait a minute. What happened to Bucket of Blood?
That's what it became, the Buckhorn.
Okay.
Yeah, on the same location when they built the building there. And the thing that gets you about the buck is the smallest animal head on the wall is a deer. The smallest head. There's moose, there's elk, caribou. I mean, the place.
There must be a taxidermist in town.
There's everywhere. I mean, if you want wildlife, screw here, go there. You know, if you can't make it to Alaska.
So if you become a taxidermist, that'd be a good place to move to.
Oh yeah, well, heck yes. And like I had my boots handmade out of part rhino leather up in Gillette. Yeah.
Don't take that to a PETA meeting.
Well, you can still get elephant leather that was before ban, you know? And so that's why conservation, I get you. You know, I love that safaris now are just photo safaris, you know, instead of trying to get the big 5 in Africa. You know, the rhino.
Did you know that?
Yeah, because it's like they're making them these animals extinct, and you don't want to do that.
And that's why.
Wasn't there a local dentist who took a picture of himself standing next to a lion?
Yeah, was he local us, or I thought he was? But yeah, that was it. That for killing them, and those are less like in Botswana. Things are really growing, and I don't understand why Botswana is so an island of democracy around all these tribalistic nations. You know that are completely warsome. But yeah, that from microbes on up, everything in Africa wants to kill you. From viruses to elephants, everything wants to kill you. And so that's why you got to be on your toes.
You plan on going to Africa?
No, not anytime soon.
Nobody here has. Did you ever see anybody? No, you didn't. You didn't, because the last American case of smallpox was 1949. We've never seen smallpox. Well, they don't have smallpox in Africa, but they have monkeypox, Tana pox, named after the Tana River, canary pox. They still have pox viruses floating all around, and people get them, and it just wipes a little village out, and you never hear anything about
Wouldn't that be a good argument that they shouldn't have defunded USAID?
Dude, you're preaching to the choir.
Well, I was asking Rob.
Believe that. I would say so.
I mean, that's like common sense, you know?
Yeah, I would agree.
That if you do only white men, you are limiting what you have. Look at people.
What do you mean if you do?
If you have only white men in your business or your cabinet and you want to appeal to everybody,
I see.
You know, saying that women, blacks, Jews, Indians can't do it, that's idiotic. I mean, look at the brain drain. Look at the Catholic Church. There is no biblical religious reason for priests not being able to get married. And, you know, the Episcopal guys, they get married and they still do it just as well. So there's no reason to keep these guys celibate, because when you have a bunch of men that can't have sex, you get the Middle East. All these guys are so repressed, or like the Wahhabists in Saudi Arabia, that they find ways around it. And that's the thing, because people are going to people. So that's that's the thing. When you try to restrict people, you end up. I knew a guy who grew up Amish, and some people, when they go for Rumspringa, the whole idea is to show you how the world sucks and you should come back. But some people said it doesn't suck. I love it, and they would just leave and they'd stay out.
True. Does anybody have any comments on the Diane Rossini and Mike Vrabel?
No, I don't want to talk about that.
Okay. How about you? Do you have any comments?
I didn't even look at these pictures that it was, so I don't understand what the big hoo-ha is. You know what the big hubbub is? Is she like biased?
Well, that's the point. If you are a sports reporter on a nationwide basis, should you be having a romantic affair with the coach of a certain team?
Nope.
Yeah, that.
And then so that got the sports people a little, irritated.
Well, the other thing is they were both married too.
That got the religious people a little bit irritated. Like, hey, you're both married, and there's pictures of you at this retreat holding hands, and you said, "Oh, it's nothing," and you laugh it off. And then other people at the retreat said, they were always together in the hot tub and everything.
Well, right in front of you, and you don't see it. I mean, again, people are going to people, and that's why. Why were you holding her hand? Is that the way we stand? You're lying all the time.
Who's saying that?
That was Linger by the Cranberries.
Oh.
And but that's just it. They were always together, and some things you don't see because there's no light shown on it, and we don't know how long they've been doing their thing. That if I wanted to go out with somebody, all I got to do is go to Syracuse or Rochester.
It was very telling. The day after the pictures were released, Mike Vrabel said, "This is ridiculous, and it's laughable because there's no there there." And then somebody came up with more photos from a few years before. Suddenly, you know what Mike Vrabel's position was?
What?
I've been having long talks with my family, and I'm planning on going to counseling. What happened to there's no there?
Well, it depends on how much dignity you have. If you have no dignity, you can deny it and deny it and deny it and say it's all fake news and it's all, this is nothing, even though there's something there.
Well, supposedly they had a love child too, and that love child is named Mike.
Well,
interesting.
But I don't know. You can't hide pregnancy. Well, actually you can, but not with a body like hers. That's the thing. Women that don't know they're pregnant, more often than not all of them, but if you're obese, you can hide it.
So there's people now saying, look, if you're going to forgive Mike, you got to forgive Diana.
Right. That's only equitable. But equity is in short supply.
But I look at it this way: why get married if you know you're going to do something like that?
Well, no, that's not how it goes, because things change, or you're not told stuff in the front. I'm case in point of that.
Yeah.
If I would have known what I know now, I would have never gotten married.
Mm-hmm.
Get it out of your system. Let me know what happened, why you were.
No,
that's why a long courtship is important.
Well, I knew my wife for 20 years before I married her, but
you didn't get to know everything.
Well, she didn't tell me, and she sold me a bill of goods. And if she would have had the wherewithal to say, "I can't marry you. I'm not strong enough to tell you why yet, but just don't marry me."
That's a long time to keep secrets suppressed.
Well, things change as time goes on, Like, you could be having a great day, then you have an MI. Well, then from there, your life changes after. In those 20 years, things happen in between.
Which she didn't tell you.
Right. And that's why a house built on sand will fall.
So you never had conversations where you talked about the latest events in your life?
When your stock and trade is not talking about it, you steer everything away from it. So even if I had...
There's a way to tell, I think, if somebody's holding information from you.
Not me. I'm kind of simple when it comes to that. I'm primary colors,
Well, you have never learned the art of listening. If you learn the art of listening, then that's what you don't have. You can pick up on something's not right here. Somebody's withholding information.
I also had the fog of love in my eyes.
Fog of love. Isn't that a beautiful expression?
Well, yeah, you think
the
that
fog of love.
They're not perfect, but you feel like they are for a moment until that, the heroin high or the cocaine high wears off to the heroin buzz of love. Well, I had the fog of love in my eyes, and I could only see, are the stars out tonight? I don't know if it's cloudy or bright because I only have like that.
Yeah.
And
so, ever have the fog of love in your eyes?
Absolutely not.
Oh, that's too bad. Because the best way to get over somebody is to get under somebody new. That's a rather.
Well, it means he's never been shattered.
Well, I've been cheated on, but I'm not gonna But
did you see it coming?
Pretty much.
Oh.
Okay. So Can we move on?
I'm okay with moving on. Are you?
Go ahead.
Okay. Richard, 7 sensory rooms.
In the new stadium, they're going to have 7. Can I finish? Okay. In the new stadium, they're going to have 7. Oh, you don't like the fact that
Just
I don't
go
like
on.
being interrupted? Or are you the kind of person that has to interrupt, like you feel compelled?
I was surprised. I had an utterance.
Okay, so they're going to have 7 sensory deprivation rooms, which are very interesting concepts. You ever been to the Toronto Science Center? Because you can experience one of those. The walls are set up in such a way that when you walk in there, you can almost feel the silence pulling at your ears. It's a cool thing. And they're going to have those rooms. They're going to have things that calm you down, like a lot of velvety furniture. When you sit on it, you sink in and you can feel the stuff. And it's supposed to relieve your stress of what's going on outside you in the stadium. If I went to the stadium ever, I would go in one of those things.
I wonder how many are going to be puked on after, like, some of the tailgaters are going to go in there.
Ooh.
I really don't think they're going to let them in there for that reason.
Yeah.
I mean, these are for the autistic kids who get overstimulated really easily. So it's not sensory deprivation as much as it's sensory decrease. Because at the Exploratorium in SF, I went there. It's the same thing. In one of those soundproof rooms.
Yeah.
That's weird.
It's a great experience.
At the same time, you don't realize how much echo we have in here because in the room they have there, there's a metal grating that you walk on. That's the only thing that is not just the room. So there's virtually no echo. It's weird. And so, and it's easy to get overstimulated. If you want an autistic kid to flip out, put him in a disco with the music, with the lights. That is way too much. I mean, if it's too much for you, it's way too much for them. So yeah, you're not going to go in there if you're wasted. That's for people.
So I think it's a good idea that they have those 7 rooms.
Well, yeah, because it's like there's times that people go way overboard, get so stressed out about the Bills losing that they need to calm down.
Yeah, and
like
those rooms will get used after a close loss.
Or if they lose the AFC Championship and don't make the Super Bowl.
On a bad referee call.
This is why Buffalo's cursed. It's a cursed town.
Such as the interception.
Yeah.
Was it really an interception?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a catch.
Well, it's just like in the last Boston game when Boston could run roughshod over the Sabres, like holding the stick. Like a guy holds on and pulls it out of his hand and they don't call it.
Oh, is that what that was about?
Boston's been complaining about them us not getting the penalties, but it's like what I saw on Tuesday or Thursday, they tripped Thompson right in front of the refs. So you can't say that we're not getting the calls. You're not getting the calls either. And
Krebs got 2 minutes for roughing. He was standing behind the goal. He didn't do anything. He really didn't do anything.
I did like the Boston Globe about the elbowing. They put on their Boston Globe going elbow room, and then when Thompson or Tuck scored the game-winning goal because he elbowed somebody.
I see.
That winners don't have to explain anything. Losers have to excuse everything.
Yeah, I agree.
What did Vince Lombardi say? Just win, baby.
Yeah. No, that was Al Davis.
Oh, was it? Yeah, Al Davis. What did?
It was after they won a Super Bowl too, right?
Was it 1981 when they were the wild card team with Jim Plunkett?
Wow.
I think so.
Yeah, that winners write the history books. Are you a rebel or are you a freedom fighter?
I was saying that if we break the curse, I think we should just throw Scott Norwood over the falls. But that's because that's when the curse started, I think.
I think it's always been there.
So that game was before the no goal game?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was wide right.
Yeah, about 4 years.
Sorry, Buffalo fans.
Or about 10 years, or 8 or 10 years, because no goal game was 2001. And
no,
wide
99.
Right was 99?
99.
Or 99 was the no goal, and Wide right was 1989, 90,
Your
91.
Desert Storm, I remember.
I see.
Yeah. So, but the last thing that anybody of the big four sports that Buffalo won was the AFL title in '65. That's the last one because the Bandits had a three-peat, but that's NLL, and so
You don't
They
count
don't
the
count it.
Bandits?
They don't.
I think they should.
I know they should.
yeah. But I mean, do you know what 75 years ago, Gordie Howe's signing bonus was?
Do you?
No.
A team jacket. That was his signing bonus.
Wow.
Yeah. So, okay. Well, so are we?
I'm ready to move on.
Okay. Net benefit. So it's been about a year since I've been back in your circle, Richard. Am I the net benefit of me, in your opinion, yours? Am I a benefit, a zero, or a negative to you?
Well, the fact that you are willing to improve makes you a benefit.
Okay.
Like, I'm very wary about people who are unwilling to improve. Remember your friend Scott came here? He would strike me as somebody who's not willing to improve. We were trying to help him. We were trying to say, no, you don't interrupt now. You don't do that. But we couldn't get through to him. So the people who are not willing to improve are the ones that you got to watch out for. They're the zeros or the negative.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Somebody 25 years ago wrote it online. When she was in residency, she had an attending that said, in the emergency department, you come to work with, you have a little bag of gold coins. And everybody that takes something from you, you give one to them. Everybody that gives you a positive, they give you one. And you should come out with more than you started with.
Oh, because you've done something that they appreciate?
Well, or they give you a good experience, because most of the people in the ED are a net negative.
What's an AD?
Emergency department.
Oh.
Yeah,
most of them are a net negative?
Yeah, they take from you. So you lose emotional capital to them because they take a piece of your soul.
But they heal you. They stop your bleeding.
No, I'm talking about the patients. The patients steal from the doctors and nurses. And that's why we become bitter. We develop a hide on us like a callus, and we think that we ascribe values to them before
you don't get a lot of thank yous from the...
No. Wow. Oh, no, not at all.
So it's like the joke where the man jumps into the frozen pond and he rescues the child, and freezing, he takes the child up to the mother, and the mother says, so where's his mittens?
Right. That's exactly
That's
it.
a net negative.
Yes.
See, there's no thank you. Why don't you do more?
Mm-hmm. Well, it was like the guy in the Superdome after Katrina when they were giving away the water for free, and he bitched that it was warm.
Well, dude, it's human. What do you expect? There's no working refrigerator.
But if it's free, it's me. I'm not going to look a gift horse in the mouth. And but that's the self-centered humans. So, but that's just it. Anybody who thinks they've learned enough, definitely that's not how it goes. I mean, I'm mid-50s and I'm still learning more languages, I'm working on the ones I know already. And if I have a motivated reason, I'll learn something else. Like when I was in Hawaii, what I picked up of Polynesian languages, like Tahitian and Samoan, now I've forgotten most of it, but I thought it was funny because every Polynesian and Asian language has a derogatory term for white people. Okay. All righty. Well, that's that. Does anybody else have anything to add?
No.
Okay. Robbie, Buffalo sports fan base versus other sports fan bases.
Yeah, I want to challenge other sports fans.
One example. When another sport, somebody has a foundation and they raise like $5,000. Buffalo, we say pikers.
Yep. we are just like, you're suffering. We're going to give you more.
Well, but even like Kyler Murray in Arizona, filling his fund up for $100 and some grand, or the guy from Cincinnati, the Bengals guy.
Andy Dalton.
Yeah, Dalton. I mean, we give more. Look at the Josh Allen. They put a wing on the Children's Hospital. Donations put a wing on the Children's Hospital.
Oh.
And look at Tyler Bass. They donated to the 10 Lives Club, too, because of he missed a field goal, which it wasn't really his fault. I mean, Stephon Diggs dropped it that game, but they donated to the 10 Lives Club because.
And then there's the Cincinnati quarterback.
Yeah, Andy Dalton
talked about. Yep.
Yeah, remember that?
Yeah, and they loaded up his fund.
He was aghast.
Yeah. Well, because other ones are like, because like Gary Bettman said that Buffalo is a core NHL team because most other cities, when your team loses, you lose interest. Buffalo just wants hockey. So even if the Sabres are out, we're still watching. Their figures show that. Their statistics show that. We're still watching.
I do that too.
And it is like, look at our fan base compared to, okay, I'll say Cleveland too. They've been through some suffering. But we've been through suffering with droughts that are like old enough that they're like 31 years old combined. You know, and we stand by them.
Well, also, look at teams that fail in Los Angeles. I mean, Los Angeles, second largest city in the U.S.
They don't care about
right, because they just have the mass of people. Like in New York, like they could put a second NHL team in Toronto. You know, the largest city in Canada, the fifth largest city in North America, sixth largest city in North America. But like New York City, you can have the Rangers and you can have the Islanders. Well, but you know, you can have the Nets and you can have the
Yankees.
Oh no, the Knicks.
Knicks,
and then you can have the Yankees and the Mets. They can all support that just because of the mass of people.
Well, you could do it in Chicago too. I mean, but they only do it like for baseball with the Cubs and White Sox. So,
well,
what's the latest on the Bear Stadium? Is it going to Indiana?
It's going. Yeah, it's going.
That's
what I've heard. It's finalized, pretty much to go to Indiana. So, Bears fans.
It's so weird. Like I've read that. You know, there's nothing you can do about it. The Bears are going to move to Indiana, and then the next day I see an article saying Chicago City Council approves funds for a new Bear Stadium. Like, what?
Well, then again, there are owners that are going to pull that stunt and make a threat of moving the team
when they have no intention.
When they really have no intention. Look at or to get a new stadium going. Like, look at back then, Ralph Wilson said, "Oh, I'm going to move the team to Seattle."
Yeah.
If you don't get a new stadium, because obviously the rock pile was a dump, was what I've heard, and the old stadium that's about to close was a state-of-the-art stadium. Got it done. Same with Terry Pegula. He said he was going to move the team to Austin, Texas, but in reality, just to get a new stadium.
Because also, all the owners have to approve a move. So if they want to go, well, sorry, asshole, your contract says you're stuck here. I mean, you can't just make a unitary, arbitrary decision.
I just don't understand, like, the NFL and the NHL. Okay, you took a team out of Houston, you bring one back. You took two teams out of Los Angeles, you bring them back. Then, like, same with, like, the NHL. You took a team out of Winnipeg and you brought them back because... You know that Arizona is not a hockey market.
Well, that's why they tried to do that with the Stars and Arizona and two teams that failed in Atlanta. But again, what does Los Angeles have? The money. It's all money. You know, the team's bringing them back. And I asked this question before or last week. What's bigger, Winnipeg or Green Bay? Winnipeg is 8 times larger than Green Bay. And so as far as hockey goes, Winnipeg will support it. It's like the only sport that can get a bite in Montreal is hockey. Football has failed there. Baseball has failed there. The World League of American Football failed there. The Concords, the Alouettes, the Expos, they all failed there. But if it's hockey, it goes. I mean, that's the thing, knowing your market. So anything else to say about that? Buffalo fans are better than anywhere else. If Buffalo was the biggest city in New York, we would still be the best fans, you know? But by our drought, I think that makes us even more vociferous, you know? Because we've seen so much loss, a win makes us that much more excited.
Yeah.
Versus the Yankees win the World Series, people in Queens are like, they're not the Mets. You're like, what the hell, dude? It's your city, man.
Teams like in Boston, I mean, they win the championship. We're used to it now.
And remember, Philadelphia is the place that booed Santa Claus and threw snowballs at him.
That was not nice.
And I remember that 25 years ago, a reporter said Philadelphia is a city that would boo Jesus for dropping the cross. Oh, goodness. Okay.
Clever analogy.
Anything else on that?
No.
Okay, Richard. Jamie Kubala.
He's a local poet.
Okay.
And he wrote, he sent me, hey, what do you think of my new poem? So now let me ask you if you guys like this, okay? He's reflecting on the way the country is evolving. Here it is. That's the way the cookie crumbles. That's the way the country crumbles. That's the way the stock market tumbles. That's the way the president fumbles. That's the way the bombs and the drones in the sky threaten to destroy power and water supply. Drop them. Decisions made by men. Remember, most bombs land on women and children.
All I can think is Ozymandias.
You're comparing it to that one?
Yeah, that's what I think. Everything, no matter how strong your empire, it will eventually lose.
Yeah, that's a famous poem. You know.
And the thing is, that says, I command all these lands, but the statue's buried up to here in sand. That's why. That or something to that effect.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean. That's what, no matter.
Yeah. It's like there's this statue in the desert, and it has this inscription on it about how powerful this God is. And then you, at the end of the poem, you realize that it's decaying over time.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. I asked an English professor why you don't hear rhyming poems anymore, and he said it's because it's trite. Paradise Lost is not trite, but
yeah, I agree. I mean, if you have a good rhyme and it works, more power to you, because it means that you really put a lot of thought into it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, versus some of the trash you hear on the radio. You're like, but
there's poems on the radio?
Well, that's what.
Well, they call it rap.
Did you say crap? Oh, I heard crap.
Something like that.
That's true. I mean, if you think about it, most songs are poems set to music.
Yeah, like Bob Dylan.
Yeah.
Bob Dylan. That if you read Tangled Up in Blue, if you read it, you'd get the story. You know, because what fails about reading Shakespeare in high school, you're not acting it. And you read Othello, but you don't understand the sexual tension that Lady Macbeth puts over Macbeth. You know, she has him by the neck by her sexuality, and you don't get that in Macbeth.
If you just read the script, you mean?
Yeah, or you read the play, or the old black ram is tupping your white ewe. That's what somebody says about Othello, and what's Desdemona, Esmeralda, all these characters. I can't remember who's whom. They all these names, you know. But because Othello's an old black man with a young white girlfriend, and Othello is the same age as the girlfriend's father.
So if you read the words to Eleanor Rigby, you would not get as much out of it as if you heard it sung?
Well, it's like the very sad songs that have a good tune to them, you know? That if it's a good tune, you don't realize in the upbeat tune that it's a really sad song. Like,
Dave Mason.
Yeah.
Did you know his song, it's very upbeat, feeling all right. And then he goes, I'm not feeling too good myself.
Yeah.
It's about how depressed he is.
Yeah.
But he made it very upbeat.
Well, it was like Fire and Rain from James Taylor. And Susan, what they did to you put an end to you. And that's why Carole King wrote "You've Got a Friend," because James Taylor wrote "Fire and Rain."
It's like Don Henley's American Pie. I mean, it sounds upbeat, but it's not really upbeat because it's about Buddy Holly and Richie Valens and who was it?
The Big Bopper.
Big Bopper.
So he's saying that's the day the music died. Does he mean that music went downhill after that?
No, that's just the day the music died. Well, they had 3 great singers die.
Well, and I read one analysis in the early days of the internet, and one guy said, if Buddy Holly would have lived, we wouldn't have needed the Beatles. You know, he would have filled the space that they did because the British invasion wouldn't have had to invade, you know? Mm-hmm. So that's a questionable thing. But
I've heard that too.
And plus, he started that song. He wrote the song. It's at that surf, whatever they call it. That's where the last concert of Buddy Holly, Richie Valens, and Big Bopper, and he wrote part of that song of American Pie on the wall, which is cool.
The most literate graffiti I ever saw was in a Clemson bathroom, and it said, "I gave my heart to Jesus, and now he never calls that asshole." I just thought it was funny, especially if you've had a beer or two and you're in the can and you see this graffiti, you know, versus Betty is a good lay. That's not good graffiti.
Give her a call at this number.
867-5309. Okay, so are we done with Jamie Kabbalah?
I think so.
Yeah, that I'm not a scholar, but I give it a solid B.
How about you? Do you like it?
I'll give it a C plus.
Wow.
Difficult.
So I came to Turning Point USA. You did a bad job in selling it, Robbie. I'm being honest. They're not about putting people together. Their mission is to push a conservative viewpoint. They keep a list of a professor watch list of liberal professors. Now, the problem with conservative thought is it's antithetical to education. I mean, it's hard to teach somebody who's learning about new stuff that you should stick to the old ways. You're just by expansion, you're learning new stuff. By learning new things is a liberal idea. And that's why Turning Point is a solution to a problem that isn't there.
Well, here's the thing, though. When Charlie Kirk was running it, he was the one that was trying it. Now, the difference is when you have, like, Tucker Carlson not agreeing with another person that's on the same side as him politically, like, I don't know, let's say Ben Shapiro, then that's an issue that they're going to say one thing and then the other person's going to say the other thing. Where, all Charlie Kirk was trying to do was say things like, okay, scripturally, because if like that liberal had problem of, let's say, okay, they disagree with the whole, the abortion. And he's like, look at the child that you made. It's cute and that. And it kills. And I mean, you got a lot of people in religions that hate abortion because it kills a human being.
Well, I don't know if that's joining together, because Charlie Kirk was quoted and he said that I didn't say that. He said, I hate black people. I just hate them. And
I don't know where that came from because
he said it. And
did you hear the recording or
multiple sources, separate sources that heard him say it?
Okay.
Yeah,
and
there was a woman. There's a woman who was a black woman who's more functional than anybody that they fired because she was black, and she went to clerk for Clarence Thomas. And he had prior. Charlie Kirk had said she's a great addition, but you had to whiteify the whole thing. And also his support of the white replacement theory. There's nothing about this guy that really makes me want to invite him to dinner. And do you think he would have married Erica if she was a dog? I mean,
probably not.
I don't know how much substance she has, but she has to look good on camera.
Who is Erica?
That's his wife.
That's his widow. And
no.
Tucker Carlson gets a paycheck from Russia. He's just a mouthpiece. So that's why you don't even know who's whom. That at least somebody could say, this segment's sponsored by the GRU. Have you ever wanted a vacation in Moscow? We have a great deal for you. Call this number. Okay, back to our regular show.
Yeah, like I actually like, out of anybody, I like Mark Dice because of the fact that he's very truthful, very brutal. He doesn't pick sides. He talks about how the Illuminati is around. He talks about, like, he don't agree with the war. He doesn't even agree with the war. He's like, or Donald Trump saying, put the Epstein files out. He was trying to tell him that because it's like, what do you got to hide if you're not involved in the Epstein files?
Duh. I mean, that's the thing. The cult of personality is like North Korea. And that's why Toilet Paper USA, that's what I call them, because it's like when you put a hand out, they slap it away. They don't want to shake hands. They want to be oppositional. And when I was at VMI, I was very conservative. There was a college Republicans chapter there. There was no college Democrats. But that's interesting that you have 18 to 22-year-old men, mostly white, but 20% black, that are, there's the liberalism isn't there. That's hard to do because also there were very liberal professors. I mean, Colonel Gentry, that's when I became a Milton Minor Scholar, because I took Milton with Colonel Gentry and I loved it. I mean,
it's almost sounding like these schools are becoming over-liberalized now.
They've always been.
Yeah, I'm trying to make up something like that. I agree with some things of, like, liberal, like, I agree with the gays, okay, about gays. So that puts me off of the Republican side. But what what I'm saying is like there's stuff that I agree with on the liberal side, stuff I agree with on the Republican side. You know, and like and Republicans don't care about the gays and lesbian and all that, but the Democrats do. All right, my brother's gay. I don't mind it
because he's your brother and you know him. That's only a piece of him. He's not like a walking billboard, and he's not trying to convince anybody. Because you weren't on the show when we talked about Grindr, which is the gay app. Their servers in Milwaukee, when the RNC was there, it broke down. And likewise for the Charlie Kirk Memorial in Arizona, their servers crashed then too, the Grindr servers.
Because so many conservative people were using it.
Yes. So, I mean, the one thing is just be honest, you know? And what we learn is if you're gay, if you're trans, if you can do your job, do it.
Yeah.
You know, and do that others on your own time, you know? I mean, there's no difference. That it was 50 years ago when they said that homosexuality is not a mental illness. And it was on the Outlander that was just on that we watched last night. The foster son of the one guy, you know, of his caretaker, he said he's a sodomite and just can't even.
Yeah. So this is about going back in time.
Yeah.
What period did they go back?
This
to?
is right before, or it's during the American Revolution. Okay. So it's about 1777.
Okay.
Yeah, and because people are going to people, you know what I mean. And now we know that. Do you think any gay dude chose to be gay? That's what that's what the conservatives say. Oh, this is a lifestyle choice. You know what? Trying to convert somebody through faith has been an abject failure.
True.
I believe it's in the genes, but no, I was trying to say something. Now I got it in my head. There's people right now on social media that the Democrats that they gave money to the KKK, they gave money to Antifa, they gave money to all these terror groups of like that's one side of BLMs and that and
Bureau of Land Management.
The Black Lives Matter one. They're saying how they fund terrorists like KKK. We already know what that's about, and they have an issue of us funding. I don't know, like TSA or ICE. They have that problem. I know that, you know, that's what they had the problem with.
Can I read you a tweet from our president from earlier this day?
You okay
It doesn't make sense. I know that.
Sure.
The Southern Poverty Law Center, one of the greatest political scams in American history, has been charged with fraud. This is another Democrat hoax, along with Act Blue and many others. If it is true, the 2020 presidential election should be permanently wiped from the books and be of no further force or effect. Thank you for attention to this matter, President DJT.
Yeah, it's nonsensical.
Yeah, I mean, what does this have to do with that? You know,
it doesn't make sense.
Well, the Southern Poverty Law Center was founded in the 60s or early 70s as a counter to the Klan. You know, that because black people were disenfranchised in many ways. And that's what they're trying to do with the Save America Act. Many people don't have an ID. And if you can't vote if you don't have an ID, why don't you have a poll tax? It's the same thing.
Well, okay, I get it that it happened during the pandemic, the 2020 election. But if you're a smart person, unlike our president, I would have asked, okay, how many dead people mailed in the votes then? I mean, that's what I would have asked because, you know.
Well, it wasn't enough to change
I
anything.
don't believe that Joe Biden had 8 million people voting for him. I do not believe it 100%. If there was 8 million people, then you're saying that, okay, less people voted for Obama?
Wait, what do you mean 8 million?
What is that?
What is that?
8 million voted for him.
No, it was
and they were deceased, you mean, or they were?
That's what they're saying.
No, 80 million.
80 million. Well, 80 million.
Okay.
Excuse me.
I mean, yeah, that
you still. That's too many people. You're saying that he's more popular than Obama.
Do you know what the population of the U.S. is right now?
Not quite.
About 350 million.
Yeah.
So it's not outside the realm of possibility. And to assume that, well, I don't think so, therefore it's got to be fraud. Well, that's kind of flimsy because everybody looked into it. And that's why I find that the Speaker of the House, in that brief, trying to decertify Pennsylvania, that is wrapped lies. I mean, John, what's his name? The bald guy.
Fetterman.
No. The lawyer for the president, the bald guy who was he was the chair of or the dean of the law school at Chapman University, just got disbarred forever in California. It's a bunch of lies. They looked, and if they were going to commit fraud, it should have been there. I mean,
Yeah,
it's either
it's almost like Florida. Like, look at George W. Bush, and Al Gore, and I think it was that could have been rigged in a certain way because of
hanging chads.
No, Jeb Bush being the governor at the time of Florida, and then you had George W. Bush running for president.
And Florida was the state that swung the election.
Yes, it did.
I don't think so.
Well, come on now, brotherly love here.
Ignorance is more likely than malfeasance. That was bad voting because of shitty machines that punched the ballots.
Yeah.
That's what that was. And if you're looking for it, if you're an aggrieved person, you'll find grief everywhere you look.
But the mail-in votes, it was all confusing. I think that's what really made things so bad. Now that,
how is the mail-in confusing? Because
of the fact that how can you keep count? Like, honestly, how could they keep count? Who knows who's filling them out? And who knows if they're filling them out twice,
Wow. Jeez.
I mean, not enough to make any difference. I mean, it's even if somebody's getting surveys, lists, get on a ballot, they can know that gets picked up when those are fake. I mean, they can pick that up in a glance. So you have an answer to a problem that doesn't exist.
Yeah, I mean, that's not where it's nice to have the adversarial system because it's the job of the Republicans to find the fake votes, and they couldn't do it.
And then to lie about it and say we're there.
Okay. I mean, that's what, understandably, that's where the Republicans were arguing. Somebody could have filled the 2 cards and send it in because.
Well, they tried arguing that in court, and the judge said that's not evidence.
That's
not.
And also, I mean, when they said boxes of votes thrown out, no, the trail of the evidence trail said no, they weren't votes thrown out. It's like the Rodney King video. All you see is the cops beating the shit out of him. What you don't see is the first 40 seconds when Rodney King, who was like 6'8", beating the shit out of them. And that's what it is. You can take that little snippet. If I say, Charlie Kirk said, I hate black people. Now you take a little snippet of me saying, I hate black people. Now I'm the racist. You can take it and twist it any way you want. Oh, we're getting short on time. So
don't forget to tell your joke.
Oh yeah. Well, we got 2 minutes. Robbie, can government be honest? Can I field that?
Well, we were talking about that, about how Ronald Reagan said he was the most honest. And what did he say? Alaska
had more oil than Saudi Arabia. If it sounds good, it doesn't matter what it was. Hook from Blues Traveler. It doesn't matter what I say as long as I sing with inflection. That style over substance. Benjamin Franklin, 250 years ago, said 3 people can keep a secret if 2 of them are dead. Can government basically be honest? Well, if you have 10 people, you have 10 different opinions. Mm-hmm. So trying to find the truth there. And what you don't want to tell people is that East Buffalo, the east side of Buffalo, is rife with murder and rape. But at the same time, you have to arrest the murderers and rapists. Mm-hmm. One of the highlights we saw in the ambulance was an area like the Fruit Belt or the East Side or up Main Street. They would have crime, deaths until there's nobody left to kill. Mm-hmm. And then like a bubble under plastic, it would move to somewhere else.
Any other suburb.
Well, no, because that's the thing. Try bringing a gang to Hamburg or to Orchard Park or Amherst. And remember, the biggest gang in New York City is the NYPD. Mm. All righty. I don't think we can cover anything else. So I'm going to tell my joke now. Mm-hmm. Okay. My kids were on eBay all day yesterday. If they're still there tomorrow, I'll lower the price. Okay. Anybody have, you got 10 seconds, Robbie. What do you want to say?
Go Sabres.
You got it. Richard, you have 5 seconds. What do you want to say?
I would like to say goodbye to the people.
Say goodbye to the people. Okay. Okay. Well, we thank everybody for showing up. I hope you liked it. Well, if you don't tell me I suck, tell me why I suck. If you have my number, you can text me or on our socials. Okay. Thanks for watching, and we want to see you again next week. And have a great weekend, y'all. Bye.